The way I like to think about it is our ancestors thought about this way before we were even thoughts, or way before we were in the wombs, I guess. It was like way back, and they thought about this, and it came out of the fireplace of sacred fireplace of Ixachilatlan, and then it physically started in 1992. The first run happened from Chickaloon, Alaska, down to Tenochtitlan, and the southern route came up from Tierra del Fuego up to Tenochtitlan, and it is to fulfill the prophecy of the eagle, condor, and quetzal. They're the ones they're the bigger bosses. They're the guides that would guide this prophecy in connecting Native Indigenous across the continent. So while we're running this year, we started in Fairbanks, Alaska. Aiden and I we're co-runners, and we started up there May 2nd, and so we've been running since then. We joined the route here in Oklahoma. Well, we met up in Texas to meet with our sister Vanessa, and then started up in Oklahoma. And while we've been journeying down, the southern group started in Ushuaia, and then has been coming up. So this time our meeting point is Colombia, South America. We get to hear a lot of different messages from different communities. Sometimes they share with us the prayers they would like for us to keep in mind. There's prayers for the youth. There's prayers for missing and murdered Indigenous women. There's prayers for sacred sites. There's prayers for sobriety. It's a prayer for all life.
So this year's run is about Tlatoa. That's the Nahuatl word. It came in from the south, and it was palabra del corazón, aliento de la vida. So word from the heart, breath of life. And so recognizing that we need to protect our languages, we need to protect our word, and make sure that when we are speaking, like how precious that is when we share our waters with other people, that word is coming from a good place, that it's coming from our heart, right? And that we're not speaking and reacting and taking something out on someone else, right? And so becoming more aware of those things, especially right now in this time of deep conflict and violence that's happening around us. There's a lot of distractions, right? There's a lot of distractions on social media and on the news and different places of like violent acts, and people, that's all that we're consuming and that we're seeing, we're acting that out on other people. And so being able to do these things like the Peace and Dignity Journeys, different ceremonies, even your own practices, whether it's meditation or praying or whatever words that you use to connect to everything that gives us life, the air, the water, the land.
I was praying for rain because before starting the run, we had gone to the Blue Hole and it was dry. And I wanted to keep that spring in my prayers, that it gets flowing again, and people are able to pray at that spot with the water there. And so that was my prayer this morning. And then we got drenched and blessed by the rain, and it was beautiful to be able to continue in my prayer while carrying that staff and sharing in that journey. And then we reached Comal Springs, and I started praying for sun because we were cold and wet. And I wanted for us to be able to move from that and go into share in some of that warmth. And it was a beautiful mixture, seeing there at Comal Springs with all of us lined up, and the way the rain clouds were still hovering over the space and sun peeking through some of the clouds, and able to see the leaves dancing in the wind and the way the sun was reflecting off the leaves. And in seeing that, I was noticing the water droplets as they were falling from the tree down into the water. And so I looked into the water and I saw the water dancing. It was moving with us. And the words that were shared in that circle, the beauty, the harmony that we were feeling and we were sharing in, I felt the water was celebrating that moment with us.
That, you know, the sacred staffs that we carry, they're moving this energy, right? They're moving this energy, and we as runners, we are their feet. And they're moving the energy, they're cleansing the areas, they're amplifying those prayers, they're lifting up those communities. And if we're saying that we're running from Fairbanks, Alaska, down to Colombia, and Tierra del Fuego, up to Colombia, then we're creating this connection, this line across this continent that will then ripple out. And so that healing and that medicine will be sent out to the earth. And even though it's Native Indigenous led prayer, running prayer, it is for everyone. It is open for everyone with who's their heart calls them to this prayer, and it's for the earth. So it's focused in this continent, but it's an intertribal, intercontinental, and a global prayer. That is I think that I would like to see it as a contribution to the earth.
I feel like a lot of what this prayer is teaching us is how to, number one, take care of our word, and that in taking care of our word, we are taking more responsibility for how we are outwardly affecting all of life, and that also has this reflective piece for us to take care of ourselves inside, and that is something that's going to take care of us, to help us to rebalance where we need to be on the earth, so that we can all be able to sustain life together.
For I think young people, maybe particularly, that either don't identify they're indigenous or has lost the memory of their indigeneity, how can they recognize? You mentioned the energies of the eagle and the condor and the quetzal. How can they recognize that that's what they're experiencing, and to hear it, to respond to it?
Yeah, so when you say that, do you mean in general people, or people that are gravitated towards this prayer?
I would say maybe people aren't aware of it at all, but maybe connect to this video because they're just concerned about the state of the earth in crisis or in turmoil, their own anxieties. And if these energies are sweeping and moving across the hemispheres, across Turtle Island and beyond, then what might they experience but not know what it is?
Ooh,
if that makes sense.
That's a beautiful question. I think one of what moves this, and I think what moves many traditions that still are standing and that are still within integrity is that love. So maybe they can't. Maybe for them they cannot say it's the eagle, it's the condor, it's the quetzal. But anytime that they're able to tune into that love, to that unconditional love, that's part of this prayer.
That's what moves this prayer, because these communities, they gather because they care about their community, because they love their community, and they want these prayers to pass by, or they want to connect those prayers, right? So I would say, again, they can't connect, or they feel like, well, I don't know about the eagle, I don't know about the condor, or whatever it may be. When they get to tap, even if it's just for a second, even if it's just for a second, to that unconditional love, then you have a reference, you have a key that will slowly start opening other doors.
Thank you.
Thank you.